Welcome back to Lost Odyssey. There's still a couple more dreams in here. So, hold on.
Gotta dream fast, kids.
You know, Kaim, Gungora's probably getting his evil plans underway the more you dream.
Dreaming is more important.
Yeah, this is more important, I was about to say.
It hurts. Mom said I get better if I take my medicine, but it still hurts.
If medicine works that quickly, will there be any need for hospitals?
A dream has been revealed. Alright, let's go.
Oh, what story is this?
Probably something to do with a child in an hospital. Signpost.
How about another plague? Seriously, I feel
Jova.
like the last year dreams. I'll be gone soon.
Yeah, it's a little girl, Ari says.
So, it makes no difference. A life like this.
She smiles with some effort, puts a great tablet on her tongue, and swallows it. Use or possession of this drug by ordinary people is prohibited by law and strictly controlled. The person taking it feels as if every bone in his or her body is melting. All the anxieties and cares of life vanish as the individual wanders in the space between languor and pleasure.
Why don't you take one too?
Ari pulls another tablet from her leather pouch and holds it out to Kaim, who is standing by her bed.
Okay.
It's some advanced form of heroin.
I'm too cool for drugs.
You'll see this,
Howard.
she says with a grim smile when he shakes his head in silence, and then she places the second tablet on her tongue.
How many pills does that make today?
Kaim asks.
I forget.
With empty eyes, Ari stares into space and sighs. This is an addiction. A serious one.
So, this is like the third dream we've had recently that involves medicine and or an illness.
How do you feel?
He asks.
Not bad.
She says.
Very happy.
She gives him a smile. It is deeper and softer than an earlier smile, though maybe too deep and soft. It appears to be a smile of ultimate bliss, but for the very reason, it also has a frightening quality that sends chills up his spine.
Ecstasy. God damn it. Kaim, you gotta do a drug bust here.
The drug is called Signpost. This is not its formal designation, of course. People started calling it that as a secret code word to avoid prosecution, and the term caught on. Signpost is, however, the single most appropriate name for this drug. Each pill takes the user one step farther down the road, and when withdrawal symptoms strike, the person rushes to take the next pill, thereby advancing yet another step.
I guess
Please,
it's better.
FBI.
I guess it's better than China Cat, I guess.
So Kaim has stumbled onto an illegal drug run.
Or the equivalent of an opium house.
Farther and farther and farther.
It takes you on a trip.
The road marked by the signpost is a soothing one, entirely free of pain or suffering. At the end of the road, however, there awaits only death. The use and possession of signposts is so strictly prohibited because it is seen as an invitation to gradual suicide.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
How many more pills, I wonder?
Ari mutters, stretching her emaciated body full length on the bed. It is a question that Kaim cannot answer. He knows only that she is nearing the end of her signpost journey. It is for that Kaim has been called to this hospital, which is a facility for people on the verge of death. So basically the signpost is something to help them die somewhat peacefully, basically.
It's the equivalent, well, again, hold on.
I have no regrets.
Ari says.
None at all. This way I can die pleasantly, quietly, like going to sleep.
Her empty eyes are fixed on Kaim, but they seem to register nothing.
I'll be fine.
She reaches into the leather pouch again.
Okay, that is interesting that they're using it as, like, you know, a form of...
You probably shouldn't do that.
Kaim says.
I'm telling you, I'm fine.
She says, laughing weakly and placing a third signpost in her mouth. She closes her eyes. Her sunken eye sockets arbor dark shadows. Kaim settles himself into the chair by her bed. He waits for her to say more, but she seems to have fallen asleep. Her breathing is calm, and a slight smile plays upon her sleeping face. The signpost seems to be working. Without the drug, hammer-like pains in her back and violent chills would prevent her from sleeping. Even worse than the physical suffering would be the fear of approaching death.
And although
So
terminal cancer patients drove are administered morphine and similar, sedatives in this kind of quantity for these very reasons.
Oh, I know that, but I'm wondering if, like, these are people who, wow, is this an allegory for euthanasia, essentially? People who are in so much pain that they want to go.
Well, it might be something similar but different, Jova. The idea that despite this terminal illness, they prefer to, overdose, since they're going to die anyway soon.
More a girl than a woman, young Ari was struck by a mortal illness. At the end of her long battle with the disease, the doctor gave up all hope of treating it and prescribed Signpost for her instead. Ordinary people are not allowed to use that drug, but special permission has been given to patients with whom there is no hope of recovery in order to afford them a peaceful death and bring their lives to a quiet close. In other words, to enable them to die without having to deal with regret or despair. Before Kaim began this work, a doctor explained the effects of the medicine to him, concluding with a smile. Teo?
In other words, the Signpost forgives all the debts that person has built up toward life.
So when you get down to it, it kind of is like prescribed euthanasia, in the sense that they're trying to, I guess, spare them a more painful death. Does still feel a bit messed up, but...
It's never easy, Jova. Can tell you
No.
that.
Ari awakens. After she has confirmed Kaim's presence at her bedside, she says,
You don't have to worry.
and closes her eyes again, smiling.
I'm fine. I think I can go just like this.
So she knows there are other possibilities. In certain rare cases, Signposts can have undesirable side effects. Sometimes at the very end, when the person is just beginning to slide into the abyss of death, there can be an attack of nightmares. The patient experiences a literal death agony. Even though Signpost has provided such a wonderfully tranquil departure on the person's final journey, every last bit of tranquility can be swept away on the cusp of death. Worse still, some patients conclude their hallucinatory episode with a frenzied physical outburst. They might have barely enough strength to breathe until, tormented by the nightmares, they lash out violently enough to break the bed or even strangle the caregiver in attendance. Such can be the mysteries of the human body, or more so, the human heart.
It's interesting how creepy the music is for something that should be, I guess, somewhat run-of-the-mill, but I think the idea is to show, I guess in a sense, maybe how Kaim feels about this.
This is why Kaim is here. He is to stand vigil by Ari's deathbed against the remote possibility that she might be tormented by nightmares and go wild under the influence of Signpost side effects. The doctor has supplied him with yet another drug. It is a poison that will kill the patient instantaneously. Kaim has been instructed to administer it to Ari as soon as she begins to exhibit strange behavior.
See, Jova, this is euthanasia instead.
Yep.
So basically, she can take the peaceful death, but if she starts to go crazy and tries to carve off people's faces, put her down.
Yeah.
Teo?
Believe me, this is a human measure.
The doctor said.
Not murder, by any means. The face of a patient who has suffered the drug side effects is truly grotesque, not something that anyone could stand to look at. A person's death should never be that excruciating. These are final corners to give the person a quiet, peaceful ending.
Is this what you said to the police during the interrogation?
Pretty sure believes that back then there weren't enough people who could care about this.
A quiet, peaceful ending, huh? Then explain why this individual, before she died of the drug, saying, it burns.
This narration says...
Kaim was not entirely convinced by the doctor's rationale. Neither, however, was he able to bring himself to take issue with it. Now that he can only hope that, led by her Signpost, Ari will be able to pass her final moments in peace. Some part of her inner self may be paralyzed at the moment, and her empty eyes might never again regain their former gleam. But if she is happy that way, it is nothing that anyone has the right to deny her.
Okay, now I get why the creepy music is playing during this scene.
Waking again, Ari reaches for another Signpost, but drops the letter pouch.
I'm sorry, but could you pick it up for me?
She asks Kaim. She no longer has the strength even to hold the pouch. Her final moments are closing in. Kaim lifts the pouch from the floor, but when she asks him to put a tablet in her mouth, he hesitates for a moment before complying. Her tongue is dry and rough as sandpaper. She really must be nearing the end.
Please don't go crazy.
I think there was a Stephen King story that kind of has this kind of premise.
That would not surprise me. Stephen King has touched on a lot of subject material.
Having taken another signpost, Ari seems to be overtaken by that languorous feeling again. She moves the flesh of her cheeks in a way that has no meaning, releases a feeble sigh, and says,
I was just dreaming
About
about when I was little. Everybody was there. My father, my mother, my big brother, and sister. All smiling.
This is not a good sign. The drug might be having a bad effect. If the signpost is working properly, she should not be dreaming, especially about her family. The more lingering attachment or regret or sadness a person retains, the more likely he or she is to experience side effects. This is precisely why the family is never admitted to the patient's room. The final farewells are made before the administering of signpost, and only after everything is finished do they meet again.
yeah, that's part of a job. That's part of my job too. You know, because sometimes the family should not see stuff.
It's unfortunately how a lot of cancer patients do feel, not wanting their family to see them in a state like that.
Everybody was in such a good mood.
Kaim wonders if he should give her another signpost.
I'm sure when I was born that my parents never imagined I would die so young.
A more seasoned caregiver would probably give her another pill without hesitation. Then Hari would fall into another peaceful sleep without any thoughts to disturb her, perhaps never to wake again. Kaim, however, sets the letter pouch on a shelf and waits to hear what else she has to say. Ari herself does not request another signpost, but moves the sunken flesh of her cheeks again. This time the movement takes the form of a deliberate smile.
Hopefully one in warmness and not one in insanity. Again, despite what the music is suggesting.
You know,
She says to Kaim.
I'm beginning to wonder
About what?
why I was ever born.
Kaim is at a loss for words, but she does not let this prevent her from continuing.
I mean, if I'm going to die so young, I've never had a chance to fall in love. Wouldn't it have been better if I'd never been born at all?
Kaim nods as if to tell her that he understands.
Why was I ever born?
This is the question that Kaim himself has been pondering all through his endless journey. He has still not found the answer, and maybe never will.
My mother and father will be sad, I'm sure.
You had better rest now.
Maybe I was born to make my parents sad.
Close your eyes and take a few long, deep breaths.
Can I have some more medicine?
This time he gives it to her without hesitation.
Thank you.
She says simply for the first time, and closes her eyes.
I guess it's possible I might never wake up again.
It's possible.
It's a good thing to die without suffering, isn't it?
It probably is.
And to die with your head in a fog, without thinking or feeling anything. That's a good thing too, isn't it?
Kaim says nothing. This is a question he cannot answer. A question he doesn't want to answer. Ari falls asleep without asking him anything else. She is still sound asleep when the doctor examines her and tells Kaim.
She will probably pass away before the night is out.
And
The sad thing is, that's the best outcome.
it is late that night, close to dawn, when Ari begins to suffer.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry, Mommy. I'm sorry I hate the jam. It was me.
She is running a high fever with large drops of sweat on her forehead as she moans deliriously.
What's taking you so long, Daddy? Hurry. Hurry. The butterfly's going to fly away.
Kaim wonders if she could be reliving memories of early childhood.
You hit me! Big brother shouldn't hit the little sisters! You're bad. I'm gonna tell Mommy!
Convulsions rack her entire body.
Let me in! I wanna play with the big girls!
It doesn't end with her delirium. She starts moving her arms as if trying to embrace family members floating above her. This is what they were afraid of. The side effects.
Take me with you! Please! I don't wanna stay here! Don't leave me!
Her cries mingle with tears. Hallucinations seem to have taken the place of past memories in her empty eyes.
Please. I'll be good. I'll do what you tell me. Mommy and Daddy. Take me with you.
In fact, just the opposite is happening. The ones being left behind are the family who so love their youngest daughter, Ari.
Don't leave me alone! Mommy! Daddy! Come back! Please!
He can feel her pain and sorrow. Her convulsions have become increasingly violent. Her face contorts in agony. Alerted by the commotion, a daughter comes charging into the room.
What are you doing?
He shouts at Kaim.
Put her out of her misery now.
Kaim knows what he should do. This is what he was hired for. The poison that will prevent Ari from suffering anymore is within easy reach. What he takes hold of softly, however, is not the poison but the hands that Ari stretches out into empty space. Let's see where this goes. You'll see.
Maybe what they need isn't poison, but love.
What are you doing?
The daughter shouts at him.
Stop it. This isn't the explanation of your doings. You're fired.
Kaim turns toward the fuming daughter and says simply,
Be quiet, please. What the hell are you?
but the daughter breaks off his shouting when he catches sight of the look on Ari's face. She is smiling.
Oh no, the cure could be good bedside manner.
Are these my mother's hands? My father's? Big brothers? Big sisters? Tell me, whose hands are these?
She asks joyfully. Feeling the strength of Kaim's grasp, she squeezes back, an almost indescribably happy smile on her face, tears streaming from her eyes.
I'm here with all of you. Together. Always.
Her convulsions have subsided, and her breathing has calmed down. Kaim whispers in her ear.
Thank you, Henry.
Daddy?
Smiling through her tears, she says.
I know it's you.
Kaim smiles back at her and says,
I'm speaking for all of us. For me, your mother, your brother, your sister, when I say, thank you, Henry.
Ari seems almost embarrassed when she asks.
For what?
For having been born, Henry. For having come to be with us. For having allowed us to share time with you. Mommy and I and brother and sister. We're all so grateful for you to that.
Unfortunately, life has its limits. There are long lives and short lives, and in life, even more unfortunately, there is happiness and unhappiness. There are happy lives and unhappy lives. For all of this, however, for the chance to be alive in the world, for the chance of having lived life in this world, the only thing to say is...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, we'll interpret that it's both of them, why not? Makes it more poignant.
Yeah.
When Kaim says this to her, it's Kaim, Ari gives her slender chin a little shake and says... Joa?
No. I should be the one thanking you. All of you.
These are Ari's last words. The look on her face in death following the torment of the drug-induced nightmares is neither tranquil nor peaceful. It is, however, happy.
Are you really leaving us?
The doctor asks Kaim with a genuine show of regret. Dressed for the road, Kaim smiles and says,
I don't think I'll ever be able to perform the duties of a caregiver properly. To tell you the truth, Kaim, I still can't get over the fact that it's impossible to do it your way.
with a serious look, he adds,
Wonder if your hands give out some substance like Signpost. Otherwise, I can't imagine how she could have died so happily.
You really didn't...
never
Kai,
considered...
You're the bad guy from Patch Adams,
You,
aren't you?
Oh, I
sorry.
was thinking...
Besides, Doctor, didn't you fired Kaim, so
true.
yeah.
Kaim turns his palms toward the doctor.
And just ordinary hands, nothing special.
You really learned nothing, did you, Doc?
I'm not so sure about that.
The doctor says.
We spent some time studying them properly, maybe.
Kaim shakes his head with a sour smile, as if to say,
You wouldn't find a thing.
he does have one point to make with the doctor.
I've seen lots of people die alone. Probably a lot more than any of you doctors have. That's why I wanted to bring her together with her family at the end. It's the only reason I took her hands.
Like, I mean, we joke about Patch Adams, but dude, did no one ever think maybe we should provide comfort to them if they
Shut
start
up.
to wig out?
The doctor's
Or-
vague and nod suggests that he is not convinced, but Kaim is through talking with him. He strides off toward the highway. He must continue his journey. His journey will go on as long as he is unable to reply to Harry's question.
Why was I even born?
Ari had a family at least. Her life consisted of her joining and leaving her family. Kaim has not even had that much. Which is why it's really good that now he has a family again, so... Where did I come from? Where am I going? Why does the passing wind draw Kaim along on his endless journey? A journey without signposts. This is why Kaim is always free. And always alone. The end.
Basically, Joe.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was brilliant storytelling.
Yes, dear?
Basically, Joe, at least 4 decades. Yeah. So, by the way, Cook and Mac, this is what I remember while seeing a child taking medicine. How do you feel?
Grandpa, I think you need a hug.
Every time one of these dreams comes up, you know you're in for a good time. The writing in these dreams is genius. It's brilliant. Jesus Christ.
But that's the thing, Jova. I don't know how much have you learned, nor I cannot speak for your country specifically, but I can tell you that at least for mine, for decades, as soon as hospital, existed, if not centuries, patients were treated like complete garbage, possibly tied like beasts all the times. So trust me, the caretaker kind of figure, and actions towards their final days, it's really that important and something that's more recent than thought.
Oh, I can understand that. It's like, bedside manner was arguably something that, well, the first record of that in English terms is like 1869.
Yeah, again, Patch
All
Adams
right,
is
to
still
recap
terrible
this-
for this message, but yeah, go on.
To recap, this boy from Aura wants to go to war too. He hates the Goatsons, basically. So that's
boy.
reminds him of this. So, Beyond the Wall. The wall is being demolished. Sledgehammers resound on both sides. The wall marked the national border for decades. Until yesterday, border might not be the right word, however. Originally, both sides were part of a single nation. The country became divided owing to differences in ideology, and the two sides remained so mutually antagonistic that a high, thick wall had to be built.
Gee, I wonder what this is supposed to be a parallel of.
So who do we ask to tear down that wall?
Those days are gone now. A year ago, the leaders of the two sides shook hands in a historic reconciliation. Today, after much preparation and coordination, the wall that symbolized the two sides' antagonism is being demolished. The sound of hammering signals the end of opposition and extols the beginning of peace.
But this is the start of a dream, so why do I get the feeling not everything will be
No,
so hunky-dory?
this one has a really good happy ending. This one is different than the previous one. The Dwebs, you'll be Yugono. Go ahead.
Is this?
The first line, go ahead. Come on, give me a break.
Come on, give me a break.
Says Yugono, spitting on the ground and glaring at the backs of the people swarming the wall.
Look at them, smiling like idiots. I can't believe it.
He glances at Kaim by his side as if to say,
Right?
his still boyish face wears a scowl of disgust.
Boyish, but he has a voice. Tell me, Kaim, you've been to a lot of different countries and see all kinds of people. Can people just take years of hatred like that and throw it out the window?
Kaim gives him a sour smile instead of replying. Yugono is a young man, the first person that Kaim became friends with shortly after he arrived in this border town. He is pleasant enough except for his stubborn hatred of people from the other side.
Oh boy.
Don't worry, this will lead to a happy ending.
One lousy handshake and I'm out of a job. I mean, really, give me a break.
Yugono used to be a border guard. In other words, one of the men assigned to keep watch on the wall. He had volunteered, eager to kill anyone who dared to come over the wall from the other side. If his superiors had permitted it, he would have gladly crossed over and attacked the other side rather than waiting to fend off an invasion. As a mandatory part of the reconciliation, however, the border guards were disbanded. Unlike his brothers in arms, who quickly started new lives for themselves, Yugono was left behind by the changing times.
I know that there's this guy called Big Boss he's hiring. Maybe you should look into him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go to outer heaven.
Tell me, Kaim, can people just be allowed to just slough off their resentment so easily? Do they just not give a damn?
Kaim does not respond to this. He knows that Yugono is a victim of the age of confrontation.
And possibly having that hatred instilled to him by his elders.
Yep. Still just a young man. A boy, even. Yugono has been thoroughly conditioned since childhood to view the other side as the enemy. There you go, Jova.
Interesting. I was born just in time to see the end of the Cold War, too.
No, it's me.
He's all dialogue gone.
Watch out, the other side could attack at any time. Watch out, the other side are all cruel, cold-hearted villains. Watch out, if the other side are invaded us and occupy our towns, they'd burn down our houses, steal our property, kill our men, and assault our women. That's the kind of stuff that Yugono has heard, or a lot of propaganda, yeah. Watch out! The day is not far off when they will be invading us. It could be 3 days from now, or it could be tomorrow. They might be climbing the wall today, this very moment. Watch out! They've already sent their spies among us, and you can tell for sure who they are. They're the ones who extol and sympathize with the other side by word and deed, and by deed. Watch out! They're probing for the slightest gaps in our psychological armor. Remain alert. Be ready to draw out your sword at any moment. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out. There was much to be found out about the other side in the history books distributed in the schools on this side. The pictures of the people from the other side portray them all as ferocious demons.
I'm not the only one, you know. All of us are taught the same thing. So how come everybody but me is so happy about the bloody wall coming down?
Yugono asks, looking utterly bewildered by these new developments. Again and again he repeats his disbelief. Finally, Kaim cannot help but respond to him.
You were too pure.
He says.
What?
It's not your fault, Yugono. The ones who filled your pure, honest heart with hatred.
How do you know my heart's pure and honest?
I think I guess what Kaim is going for.
Wait a second now, Kaim. The animals who live on the other side of the wall are the ones who did that to me. The horrible things they do.
Kaim cuts him short.
Have you ever done anything horrible to you?
Well, sure, no, not really to me, but...
Just what is it you hate the other side for?
Well, you see...
Yugono is momentarily at a loss for words until all he can do is raise his voice and blurt out.
It's true, though. The whole bunch of them are just horrible people.
Oh, really? He folds his arms in a decided pout. You don't even know why you hate them, do you?
How are they horrible? What did you ever see them, any of them do? When? Where?
Yugono stammers and sputters.
Have you ever met somebody from over there?
Kaim demands to know. Yugono hangs his head and shakes it from side to side. With a grim smile, Kaim says,
Well, I have. And they're not devils or demons or anything of the sort. How could they be? You all used to be part of the same country. But that stuff is besides the point anyway. Countries and races and tribes, you're all human beings. You're all the same.
Yugono stays silent, hanging his head.
So the cure for racism is to be immortality. That checks out, I guess.
Says the guy that let a whole village die because he couldn't be bothered to tell them that their water was poison.
How would
Maybe
you
this was
know
before that.
True. And there it is.
Cheers erupt at the wall. The wall that has separated the two worlds for decades has just now been broken through. Representatives from this side and the other side walk through the opening, greet each other with smiles and firm handshakes and embrace. The cheers grow louder and people, mostly members of the younger generation, gather in circles here and there, expressing their joy.
Remind me again, of what the American president was in 1989?
1989, you mean?
Yugono
Wasn't there-
glares down at his own shadow
Donald.
and asks Kaim.
Okay. It was both Reagan and Bush, essentially. Like, you know,
Okay.
89
Go on,
was
Dibs,
the
please.
Go on,
Reagan
Dibs.
So what
training.
should I do now? All I've ever done is hate. All I've ever known how to do is hate them.
Kaim gives Yugono a pat on the shoulder and says,
It's not too late to change. You can start now.
Can I?
You can, I'm sure of it.
Kaim is sure because he knows what it was like when both sides were a single country. It was a kindly nation, by no means rich, but it was at the happy country of compassionate people.
If you're wondering which president said Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall, it was Reagan.
Okay. I'm telling you, Yugono, people can change.
You say so.
Look over there, Yugono. Look at those people enjoying themselves.
Hesitantly, Yugono raises his head. Around the wall, a celebration is beginning. Young people are dancing, singing, toasting each other, engaging in conversation, and all of them used to be companions of Yugonos who received the same education he did. No doubt the young people on the other side were similarly educated to hate.
What do you see over there? Demons? Devils?
Yugono shakes his head and lets the tightness go out of his shoulders.
This is admittedly why I think not all these dreams talk about how it sucks to be immortal, because ironically, I'd say Kaim gets a lot of wisdom from being immortal. That does help others out.
Exactly.
It's just it's a lot. Also.
Yeah.
Begin to wonder, Kaim. Why until now I've been so...
Kaim pats him on the shoulder again to signal that he understands.
People can change.
He says,
They can change from hating to loving, from loving to hating.
yes, Kaim knows about that as well. He saw how much a wonderfully unified country was divided in two at the end of the violent civil war.
Possible
change
dream
anymore.
reference.
Kaim says, not just to Yugono, but to all the smiling young people.
If you can change, everyone can change.
Heal the world.
Yeah,
make it a better
the
place.
ending of the director's cut of Rocky 4 was more realistic in that regard.
A young girl hesitantly approaches Yugono. She is from the other side. She holds a plate full of cookies. Jova, go ahead.
Have some if you like.
She says.
I baked them this morning.
The cookies are heart-shaped. Urged on by the smiling Kaim, Yugono reaches out for a cookie, his face bright red.
Thanks.
He says shyly and takes a bite of his cookie.
Good.
She asks. Yugono turns a deeper shade of red and says,
Delicious.
And you would have missed out on those cookies if you'd held on to your hatred.
White birds cut across the blue sky. From the other side to this side. From this side to the other.
What are we in a Disney movie now?
The white birds sail throughout the sky almost joyfully, as if to tell the people below, in the beginning, there were no borders. The end.
Adorable. And legit wholesome.
Again, it's worth noting also this was written, towards the end of the 2000s, beginning of 2010s, where there was a more growing sense of optimism in general. I'm not sure if it probably would be written the same way today, but I guess only one can hope.
Alright, everybody. So, with that out of the way, we have one more dream to go through in the next part, and after that, we'll get back to the main story. See you then.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.